Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome to the first ever SJFC Adults Consultation. My name is Mazharali, most people know me as Maz. I'm just going to talk you through how things are going to work today. So we're going to start with the recitation of Holy Quran, followed by a few words from the new SJFC chairman, Nazir Rajvani. We're then going to have a small talk from Uncle Mo about the SJFC Adults Organization, structure and objectives. And then we'll go through the report that I sent out a few weeks ago. So we'll go through the feedback based on the first team report, and then Abbas Datoo will give you a summary of the non-league report. We'll then take questions through Q&A. Because you're watching on YouTube, we'll take the questions through the comments on the YouTube live stream. And then we'll have some closing remarks from the SJ chairman, Shafique Govani. We'll now start the program with the recitation of the Holy Quran by Brother Gulamhussein.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Thank you, Brother Matham, for that beautiful recitation. We will now have a few words from the new SJFC chairman, Nazir Rajvani. Please, can we welcome him?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's great to be here. I know I've only been in post for a few weeks now, and I've got big shoes to fill from Uncle Mo, who you'll be hearing from shortly. But it does give me great pleasure to look at the setup that we've had here over the last 12 months and the amazing work that's been done by all of you and the organizing committee and everyone. It's been fantastic to watch the adults play across a wide range of ages, and it's been great to see everyone actually enjoying football. A couple of big things that we are announcing this week, and you may have seen the announcements come out on Friday. So from Monday moving forward, officially, we will be one club. So both youth and adults will both be under the Stanmore Jaffrey's Football Club umbrella, SJFC. And for the first time in my memory, actually, what we're doing now is starting from Monday at some point. We haven't quite know the time yet, but from Monday onwards, what we will be doing is we'll be sending out a survey for our new kits. And what we want is everyone else to vote on what they think our kit should be. There's a few choices on there. And when the surveys come out on Monday, we look forward to everyone responding back on that. It's an opportunity for everyone to feed back on the club and the journey moving forward. As we go through the next 12, 24 months and onwards, what we're hoping to do is start bringing the boys as they go through the SJFC youth setup, now into the SJFC adult setup, and bring through the players that have experience in playing in the leagues, in the youth setup. And inshallah, this year we'll have 7 or 8 teams in the leagues, right the way from the under 7s all the way up to the under 16s, to give us that ability to play football competitively. And even if they're not playing competitively, there is quite a lot in the adult setup that they can learn from and actually enjoy. And I know lots of people have been coming along to play football, not just for the first team, but also for the other ages and for the other groups, which has been fantastic to see. And I know I've taking my boy along to those games. He does enjoy watching the adults play and seeing it develop, and understand for him that there is a community route to do this. And it's great work by the team here that they've managed to collect this feedback and holding this meeting to try and improve what they're doing over the last 12 months moving forward to make it even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Nazir. We'll now move on to a few words from Uncle Mo about the SJFC Adults organisation structure and their objectives. Let's just welcome him.
Thanks, Maz and Nazir. Firstly, Assalamu alaikum to everyone. I really want to just really start with a really big thank you to Nazir for really giving this team the opportunity to continue from where we left things at the end of the season under his leadership. So Nazir, many thanks for that. I think one of the key objectives when we started back in, well, it was actually over a year ago, was to really revitalize adult football. What we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure everyone over the age of 17 had the opportunity to train, to play football, and use the facilities, and also be a part of a league setup. And I think really that is something where we left things off with before, obviously COVID. We had a team that was playing in the Hearts Senior League, 11-a-side. We also had the Flexi League that played in the Middlesex League, and both leagues were doing incredibly well. What we did not want to have is basically a setup just for those technically gifted players like myself. We wanted everyone to have that ability to continue and play football from the age of 17 onwards, and there was no limit to that. And it's very important to do so, because I think, you know, there are young men out there who want to continue to play competitive football, or just wanting to play football from a kind of a social interaction perspective. And we offer that, and we will continue to do so, that from a kind of a mental health perspective. But also I think we have to be mindful that there are young men in the community who have come from abroad, the UAE, etc., who are trying to integrate within the community, and it gives them that platform to do so by giving them the platform to play football and to meet people, etc. So that's a key point in terms of the social engagement and inclusion. The second kind of point I want to touch on, and I think Abbas and Maz will touch on this from the kind of the survey results, is that we obviously have a number of boys, young men who are gifted and who will really play a significant role in the league setup. And we have some other men coming through who are probably going to be playing in the second team. But we want to make sure that that second team has focus, if not even more focus. And going forward, we're going to look at introducing a second coach. Discussions are already underway to really have an additional coach to be able to focus on that group of individuals and to work with the first team coach to hopefully make sure that they move from the second team to the first team. The education piece is really key, and it's the foundation. The foundation of Stanmore Jarvis and Stanmore Jarvis Football Academy, it's around the volunteering. The volunteers are our foundation. And one of the first things that we did since inception 3-4 years ago was to make sure that all our coaches had the minimum professional qualifications around the FA Level 1, FA Level 2, to be able to then go ahead and really provide that service back to the community. And what we want to do is everyone who's involved in adult football, we want to make sure that we offer FA Level 1 coaching, FA Level 2 coaching, and the kind of the courses that come around that. So number one, improves their ability of understanding what they need to do as a player. But more importantly, I think it gives them the opportunity to give back to the community, either coaching at an adults level, or more importantly, really giving back to the youth who are really our next generation of leaders. And I think the last point I want to touch on is the really winning mentality. We have some great players within the community, and when it comes to competitions, when it comes to tournaments, we're always there. Semi-finals, finals, quarterfinals, we're there. We want to make sure that where we're reaching the quarters, the semis, or we're getting to the final, we want to make sure every single player has that winning mentality to be able to come away with that trophy, with obviously with good akhlaq and everything that comes with it. And how are we going to do that? We're going to do that by really delivering a couple of courses throughout the year that gives them that extra special mentality to get over that line, rather than coming away with the kind of the winners, the semi-finalists. We want them to get to the finals, and we want to come away with that kind of that trophy. But what we need to do is to give them the courses and the know-how to get through that winning mentality. Matt, can you go to the second page, please? Okay, so who's going to be really leading the team? So clearly, Shafique from my SJ chair, and then you got Nazir in terms of the SJFA chairman. But in terms of the working team, I think hopefully you know who we are after a year or so. But that is the team. I just want to really call out Hussein, Maz, and Abbas. They do some tremendous work in the back end in terms of getting this work done. Things just don't happen. Whether that's the making sure the pitches are ready, the equipment, making sure the first team coach is on point. All that work involves a lot of work, and they do great work in the background to do that. As you can see, we do have one person who we looking to join the team, and that will be the kind of the head of training operations. If you think you can help out, if you think you can provide that service to this group, to the community, please do reach out to either Hussein, myself, Maz, Abbas, Datoo, and we'd be more than happy to get you guys on board. And I think that's really my kind of my bit, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Uncle. We'll take questions at the end, but we'll move on to my part of the show. Let me just move slide. So I'm basically going to give you some feedback based on the feedback I received from the first team. So I sent out a survey, must have been a few months ago now, basically asking everyone, first team and non-first team, how they found the SJFC experience this year. So the report that I'm going to feedback out is just based on what replies the first team gave me. So we'll start off with the Flexi League experience. So the good feedback that we got about Flexi League was that it was well organized, it had good refs, good linesmen, and it was a nice pitch. It was a really nice AstroTurf 3G pitch. The cons we received were that people preferred the 11-a-side training rather than Flexi League, and they were a bit disappointed at the commitment that the first team was showing. And I know this was an issue that we addressed during the season as well, as some people would turn up if there was a training session, but not turn up if there wasn't. So what our response is that we will carry on with the Flexi League this year. I think it proved overall as a net positive. We had some really good players come through to the first team through the Flexi League. So just to name a few was Matthew Hemraj, who ended up being second in our Players Player of the Year. Ali Samani, Matthew Blue, Roshan Ali Chuzi, and Hussein Ramzan. They all came through the Flexi League. And if we're looking at how our squad list for the last sort of part of the season, they were features every single week. So I think overall, Flexi League was a brilliant idea, and I think it paid off very well. We are also expecting you as a first team, for everyone who's watching, and obviously those who aren't, we expect you guys to take this as a serious commitment as well, and not just, okay, I don't feel like playing it this week. We expect you to turn up every week, and we will be a bit stricter if you don't have a legitimate reason not to turn up. We're now going to move on to the response that we had for the training. So this was the training sessions that we had at Hereford Academy. The pros were that it was intense and enjoyable, but the cons were that it was too crowded and that some people would have preferred a more technical training, so like maybe going through organized set pieces and things like that. And some people also thought it got a bit repetitive. So our response to that feedback was that we're going to split the training session into two. So we are going to split it into first team and second team, or non-league team. And Abbas is probably going to touch on this a bit more, but we are looking to get a second coach to pay a bit more attention to the non-league team, and that way Ali Kamal can also give us his 100% attention, like the sessions that we've been having currently during COVID, and they've been amazing sessions. So looking forward to more sessions like that. The next question was how you guys found our organization system or organization in general. The pros were that there was a good fining system. So obviously, those of you who know, if you turned up late or you were late in giving your responses of availability, you would get charged £1.50. And we are going to carry on with a fining system. However, it will get a bit more. It will cost a little bit more. As we're now going from a first-year team to a second-year team, we expect as a club that the players will take this a bit more seriously. We're no longer rookies. We've had a whole year of getting used to how this runs, and I think the £1.50 fine was not enough of a deterrent to improve the discipline. However, seeing how things have been going during COVID, I don't know if many people will be paying that fine, because our discipline has definitely improved during the pre-season. Yeah, so in response to the equipment also not being the best, that was down to me, I guess. But we are also looking for someone to be head of training operations, so that their job would be to also keep the equipment up to check. And as Uncle said, if you are interested in this role, please either message myself, Ali Abbas, or Uncle, and we'll try to get something sorted. Moving on to the next slide. So overall experience, how did you guys find the club? The positive feedback we got was that it was vibrant and a good team spirit. The cons were that it was frustrating at times, not getting recognized, and attitude was poor at times. So from the cons that we received, I think the main response is we need to hold ourselves as players accountable. So, and you need to also hold your teammates accountable. So for example, with the attitude, if you feel like some of your teammates aren't showing 100% commitment, or you think that they're taking things a bit too lightly, it's your responsibility as a teammate as well to sort of tell them to sort themselves out, or just either have a chat with them, find out something wrong might be happening with them, like in their personal life. But it is our responsibility as teammates to sort of pull up the attitude from everyone else as well. We've also asked what we'd like to see from us for next year. So better commitment from the first team. So again, that goes into accountability. And also, as I mentioned, we are going to be a bit more strict with our discipline in terms of fines as well. Some of the players also said they wanted more socials. So one thing we are going to propose for the first team if anyone wants to sort of sign up to be the social secretary, please let myself and Ali Abbas or Uncle Mo know. What this role would be is you're basically in charge of all the socials. So we'll try to have at least 3 or 4 socials a year. And it will be your responsibility to organize where they would be, when they would take place, and sort of like get everyone organized and get everyone's opinions on where to go and when they're free, etc., etc. Another thing people wanted was a closer league or home pitch. So we did explore other leagues. However, there were some closer leagues, but they didn't have that many teams in them. So they would have, say, 6 teams in the league, which would mean you're playing the same teams over and over again. And I don't think that would be, well, we decided as a team that wouldn't be as beneficial as the current league that we're playing in. As we're playing a different team every week, there are different cup tournaments. I know we got knocked out of 2 cups, but we were in the quarterfinals of another. So it's plenty of competition. And it's new teams that you're playing against, which is a good test for us. And likewise with the home pitch, currently in this current situation, we haven't had time to sort of explore other options. However, I think our current home pitch, whilst it may not be the best at some times of the year, I think it is good enough to carry on with again next year, and has good changing room facilities and isn't too far from everyone as it's in Watford. That's all for now. I will now introduce Ali Abbas to speak on the non-league report.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So I'm just going to talk about the non-league report. So we issued, as Maz said, we issued out a survey and we got responses. So I'm just going to follow the same format that Maz followed. And it's so I'll start with the Flexi League experience. So for those of you who weren't part of the whole system, we had 2 teams, SJFC A and SJFC B. So the A team, we left for the first team who play on the weekend and in the league, and the second team was open for everyone to come and play. So generally, people thought that that it was quite competitive. It was fun to play. There was inclusion. There wasn't like, oh, if you don't attend training, you can't attend Flexi. So that's what people really enjoyed. However, some people felt that it was quite far. I know some people, sometimes games were quite early, like 7 o'clock. So some people who lived a bit further away struggled getting home from work, etc., etc. People also said that there needs to be more consistent response, more consistent team. Unfortunately, that's not in our hands. That's also due to people responding. However, overall, I think people enjoyed it, and we will be continuing with the second team Flexi. So I'll talk about this a bit later on, and I'll tell you how we're going to improve on the second team Flexi. Then we talk about the training. I know the training really didn't start till after January, but hopefully from the next season, we're going to try and hold it every week, depending on mosque and programs and stuff like that. The positives were that it was good intensity, enjoyable, and it kept you fit. And obviously, those of you who attended know that there was some cardio at the start, running around, and then some high intensity ball work, etc., etc. The negatives that we also felt it was overcrowded. More attention was given to the first team. So this is where we are going to, our response to this will be that we are going to, from the coming season, we are in talks with a second coach. So what's going to happen, it's going to be kind of like a 2-team system. So you have an A coach and you'll have a B coach, a first team coach, second team coach. And they will work closely together. So for example, in the second team training, if someone is excelling, someone is performing really well, the coach will then go to the first team coach, be like, oh, listen, I've got this player who's really performing well. So I think next week's training session, he should come to your training session. And likewise, if someone in the first team is not performing well or the attitude is poor, the first team coach might be like, okay, listen, maybe this week the second team coach should take this. So that is our response to it, and so that's how we're going to deal with the overcrowding. We're going to try and split the training sessions, etc., etc. Then the question we asked was about the organization, how we as an admin team did, and the pros were that people thought it was well organized and there were some good facilities. However, the negatives were that sometimes communication was a bit last minute, and that's particularly down to us. So we apologize for that, and any shortcomings were not intentional. We were trying to do the best we could, given the facilities we have and the time we have. Obviously, this was our first year, so everything's a learning curve. So the way we operate is we learn from where we went wrong and we try to improve. And ultimately, with your feedback, we are able to take on board what you said. And as you can see, we are taking on board what you said and are implementing ways to improve. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set out clear rules before the season starts. So there should be, you might see it on the SJFC website, there'll be like a terms and conditions where everything will be listed on there, fines, dates. We are working with our team to get a full calendar out so you can plan accordingly. And if we move on to the next slide, we have the overall experience. People thought it was a great experience and we're headed in the right direction. But again, some people wanted better development, more attention. So here is where we are going to try and bring in a second coach to kind of reduce the overcrowding and focus more on the second team. So this second coach will be able to give you more feedback, like you can have more one-to-ones with the coach, obviously, because if you have one coach for 40 players, it's quite difficult for him to point out everything. So now if you have two coaches for 20 players or two, etc., you'll get more of an experience, more ways for you to improve. And what people would like to see next year, and we would also like to see this, is more spectators. We very rarely got any spectators at the league games or the Flexi games. And some of the teams we were playing, like Buntingford, they had like people coming and cheering them on. So we would like to see that from you as well. And hopefully we're going to try and start including people more by advertising more, and then people can come to watch games, support them. Then also one thing that was noted out is people who want to play casually. So they don't want to play in the league, they don't want to play in Flexi League, they just want to casual, they just want to play the game. And so obviously at the moment we are looking for this head of training. So at the moment, for now, what we will do is we will point you in the right direction. There is so before this whole COVID-19 situation, at least on one day every week there was a session happening. Some days there were two sessions, maybe one in Bushy, one in Vale Farm. So what we can do is we can point you in the right direction. We can give you the details of the organizer. You can ask them for a more casual game, because at the moment we do not have the capacity to hold the league, the Flexi, the training for the first team, the training for the second team, and casual. And that's at the moment. So the plan for SJFC is we want to grow. We want to include everyone. We don't want it to be, we can only include these type of people. Everyone needs to be included. And the future is big for SJFC. So stay tuned. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact any of us. And I will pass it on to the next section.
Thank you, Ali Abbas. I'm just going to add everyone on the call on the screen. And how we're going to do the Q&A is if you guys can put your questions on the YouTube live stream, they will pop up to us, and then we will put the comment out on to the screen, and we'll try to answer it as best as we can. So we've already got one question from Games with Govani. I'll put it up on the screen now. So those training with the A team, will they get opportunity to break through if they do well in B team training? I think, Uncle, if you want to answer that question. Uncle?
Sorry, Uncle's not good with technology.
Let me take that question. No, let me take that question.
Yeah, sure. You're live on.
Let me take that question.
Go for it, Uncle. You're live.
Yeah, easy question. 100% yes. There's no place in the A team. I hope there's a lot of A team players listening to this. No player in the A team is guaranteed a place. Simple as that. I think it's all about commitment, effort, attitude. If those three attributes are missing, I wouldn't be surprised if a number of individuals probably fall off the A team. So coming back to the question, if you're in that B team and you're showing the right attitude, you're putting the effort in, and you're improving as a player, with that second coach who we're talking to at the moment, who's very close to the first team coach, there will be some close discussions happening between the two coaches, and there will be many opportunities for anyone in that B team to move up to that A team, subject to those positive attributes coming through.
Thank you, Uncle. And just to add to that as well, there were a few players, as I mentioned before, last year, who were part of the SJFC B Flexi team, who managed to make their way into the first team as well. But I think having the second coach will definitely help, especially with more focus on that B team during training sessions. We'll give it a couple more minutes. Yeah, sure.
Mas, can I just add on from that? And in addition to that, clearly some of us, including Nazir, will be looking very closely at the tier 6 of the youth setup, who obviously will be really looking to continue that competitive football after the age of 17. We will be closely looking at those sets of boys. We know who they are over the last couple of years who've left the youth setup, and we would want them to be really pushing for a place in that A team, just like we did last year when we had a couple of 17, 18-year-olds coming through to that first team squad. So clearly there will be opportunities for all.
Thanks, Uncle. We'll give it another minute. If we don't get any more questions, then I'll open the floor to Shafique, Uncle. Oh, we've got another question. Could you detail a bit more about the role of head of training? Uncle, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I think yeah. I mean, look, I think we all have. You saw that we all saw that page with our respective roles. But to be honest with you, we have a role attached to us, but ultimately we cover each other's bags. So whether Hussein's busy, or if I'm busy, or Abbas or Mas, we help each other in the background. If Mas is too busy to do his ongoing kind of role, I'm picking things up, or Hussein's picking up, etc. But ultimately, the role is basically to work very closely with Mas and with Hussein, because I think Hussein does a lot of the kind of making sure the pitches, etc., are set up and ready, and Mas to make sure that the coach is ready to and knows when the training is, what time, etc. It's really working with those two individuals to ensure that the communication between Mas, Hussein, and the coach, together with the players, is on point. So making sure that they communicate to all the prospective players when we're playing, what time, and the details around that. Clearly, there's going to be overlap between the 2 or 3 individuals. It's not rocket science, but it does involve someone who's fairly organized, just like the team you're looking at now is. But ultimately, we will cover each other's bags. So when you are busy, someone will be there to support you at all times. But we do need someone to help us, because I think it would be great to have that extra person on the team.
Yeah, I think to add to that as well, because you probably will be working quite closely with me as well. Some of the part of that role is also to bring equipment and stuff like that to every training session. So we will need you to be able to commit to majority or all, but obviously if there's an occasion where you need someone to cover you, that's fine. But to go to all training sessions to provide the equipment for the second team coach, or liaise with him and make sure he knows as Uncle said, where the venue is and what time the sessions start, etc., etc. We've got one more question from Abbas 07. I'll put it up on the screen. So do we know when the season will restart?
government guidelines.
Well, it's okay. I'll take it. So this is one that's been giving us all a bit of a headache recently, particularly with the government changing its mind every 2 weeks. But in reality, the things that we need to look at, and to be fair, the adults are a little bit different to the youth. But at the moment, we're trying to follow the guidelines. We know the Middlesex FA is coming, or the FA will be coming out with updated guidelines in the next week or two, following the government announcement last week. The things that we do need to consider are the locations that we're training at, the equipment that we're using, and that's not just balls and goals, but anything else that we use. We've got to have a decent disinfection policy. We've got to understand how we're playing with the contact and what we're doing. So on that basis, there are things being looked at to see how we can restart the season as quickly as possible for everyone. In terms of the season starting formally, at the moment, everything that we've seen indicates that the season will start probably in line with schools coming back, etc. So we're hoping by probably early to mid-September at least, we will have some form of starting for the external organizations. So things like the league, etc. should start running. For our own training for the youths, it's probably going to be September. We're trying to do something in advance of that if we can. Again, location dependent, because at the moment the location we've got for the youths isn't fully going to open, we suspect, until then. And then for the adults, there's an ongoing conversation about locations and where we can train and what we can do with equipment. And I know Shafique is also holding a call with the Jamaat COVID team shortly for us to get some advice from there as well.
Okay, perfect.
Matt, can I just add a bit to,
of course,
to that?
Go for it.
So, League has been in touch with me. I think there is an AGM coming through in the next couple of weeks. So they're all set for a September start. Again, depending on what happens over the next couple of months with the additional announcements from the government, etc., and then obviously the FA and the Hearts and Middlesex FA. You know, they're looking to start this in September, which I'm really glad. I think I wanted to share something which I didn't get a chance to share earlier. You know, they've described Istanbul Jafi's football academy or football club, more to the point, as a breath of fresh air, and that's a compliment, I think, to you know, Maz, Hussein, and earlier Abbas for basically really driving the back end, the admin, the interaction with the league, the players, the attitude of the players on the pitch, etc. They see these things, and it only but complements us as a community. So I think the sooner we can get back on that pitch and deliver the kind of the positive attributes that we bring as a community, the better, because that's the best kind of engagement we can have with the rest of the wider community.
Yeah, I think I remember the first game of the season, the league, a couple of league officials came to watch us play. And in the last minute, the other team got a goal. And it was actually our linesman, Mogo, who sort of told the ref, actually, the ball went past the line and gave the other team a goal. And the league officials were like baffled and just so surprised at the amount of sportsmanship that we had as a team. So that was really good to see. So we haven't got any more questions yet, so I'll now hand over to Shafique Uncle to close us out. So Shafique Uncle, floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Can you hear me properly, Maz?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Okay, I'm not sure. I think I've got a slight connection issue here, so I'm not sure you can hear me properly. Maz, can you give me a
sorry, we can hear you perfectly, loud and clear. Can you hear us?
Loud and clear. Okay, perfect. Sorry, apologies for that.
No worries, no worries.
Thank you so much for welcoming me to this meeting. And I've been part of this year and been there for some training sessions and one game as well. And I was hoping to come to a few more games in the summer season, but we know what's happened in the past 3 months. So hopefully next season, inshallah. But I just want to zoom out from the micro conversations that you've had in terms of the training, the evaluation, which is a great idea, by the way, that we've done this because it's important to understand what we're doing well and what we can improve on. So well done for that. I want to zoom out a bit from that and look at it from a slightly more macro perspective. And to do that, to set the scene, I was reading an article yesterday, and I was in relation to that watching a TED talk by a person called John Wooden, and not sure whether you've come across him or heard any of his talks previously. A basketball coach in the United States, and he's written a book, and he's got this pyramid of success where he describes what actually makes a successful organization. And he talks about the difference between winning and the difference between winning and success. And in this pyramid of success, he's got a number of layers where the top one is talking about the personal best. And then he's talking about the skill and the team spirit and determination. But the foundation level is 4 or 5 cornerstones. And I would mention 4 of those, which are hard work, friendship, loyalty, and cooperation. Now, he says that every success begins with a great foundation, and the fact that the journey is better than the end. And the reason why I mention that is because, alhamdulillah, I've been able to and been blessed with being part of the journey from the beginning now for the past 5 years, where we started off with SJFA, and then now it's moved into SJFC. And that journey has been absolutely phenomenal. We built a solid foundation for the sustainable future. And some of the results that I saw was on the ground, on the pitch in Dubai at the Unity Games. And the 2 teams that we had there, the squad that we had, and again, reflecting on the pyramid of success, we're talking about hard work, we're talking about friendship, we're talking about cooperation and loyalty. All of those aspects were so clearly illustrated in those Unity Games between the 2 teams, within each team, amongst the team players, the leadership skills, the sharing motivation, helping each other. And those elements came out so clearly. And what that tells me is that within a very short time span, we've managed to achieve so much. And again, coming back to the fact that the foundation is so important and so solid. And I remember talking to the team before we went off to the Unity Games, and they will probably clearly remember that. I'm not sure how many of you are on the call just now, but I was talking about our values and the brand and the badge, and how important it is in building our club. So when you go out and have these training sessions, and when you go out and play these games, and when you talk about how to improve as a club, you're doing that at an SJFC level. And that is actually reflecting across the whole Stanmore Jaffrey's organization. It's so important what you're doing there as one of the departments, because all the positives that you bring out, all that energy is then also embedded across the whole organization. So don't think that whatever you're doing is only helping the SJFC setup. But because I can look at the whole setup from where I'm sitting at the moment, I can clearly see the benefits and the values that energy is bringing to the rest of the organization as well. And on a final note, I've often spoken about inspiration and impact. And this is what this particular term is all about whilst I'm in office. For me, it's extremely important to talk about inspiration and impact. Not only talk about it, but make sure that it's implemented and embedded across the whole organization. And truly, what you're doing here at SJFC is indeed inspirational and has a massive impact on the club as a whole, but also the upcoming generation. You're talking about the upcoming generation, the under-16s, and the pathway that has been created from the previous Academy 9 to the football club in the first team is absolutely remarkable. So great work, and keep it up, Maz.
Thank you, and thank you, Shafique, Uncle, and thank you everyone who joined this call. So Nazir, Uncle Mo, Uncle Mo, hosted by Ali Abbas, and everyone who joined as a viewer as well. That will be all for now. If you've got any questions, please contact myself, Ali Abbas, or anyone else that you saw on this call. Thank you.